What amazes me about the Toy Story franchise thus far is I feel like it's grown up with me. When I was a kid, it was very kiddish, but with each new movie, it seems to get darker and darker. Yeah, let's dive into that third one. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk for Toy Story 3. Oh, this is a good one. I'm giving it a solid A. Like, of the trilogy thus far, I think Toy Story 3 is my favorite. It's crazy because of the Toy Story trilogy, this is the one that is the darkest. This is the one that in some senses feels the most grown up. And I don't mean that in that boring grown up way. I just mean that in that, wow, this series has really kind of grown with me. Here we are watching Andy needing to grow up, and same thing with Woody.
It'll be fun while it lasts. Besides, when it all ends, I'll have old Buzz Lightyear to keep me company.
His mission is to be a toy to bring kids happiness, and Andy is no longer a kid. It's time for Andy to grow up, and it's time for Woody to be there for somebody else. My gosh, it's deep. It's deep as it gets into that. But one of the first things I want to dive into is Lotso Bear. My gosh.
She don't love you no more. We're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away.
I feel like the toy's mental and emotional health problems begin and end with humanity. I mean, you dive into Toy Story 2, and you got Stinky Pete.
Fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. Spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be sold.
And he felt unloved, and he felt unwanted. But then you have Lotso Bear. Well, this is actually on the adults. This is on the stupid, crummy adults. I mean, Daisy just fun picnic day with her parents and her toys. She eats lunch and does what all kids do after they eat, falls right to sleep. And as she falls asleep, the parents load her up in the car and drive off, leaving her 3 freaking favorite toys in the field. I bet you, though, I'll bet you anything those parents regretted it within the first 5 minutes of that cranky girl on a sugar crash waking up from her stinking nap. I mean, I bet she threw the craziest, most horrendous fit that could be thrown, and that's where they went out and bought a new Lotso Bear. Nobody knows that toys are alive, that they have a soul, that they have a mind and emotions. Otherwise, they would have gone out there and searched for those toys as you look for a lost child. That because of one stupid human, or actually 2, the parents, because of 2 stupid humans, he just painted all of humanity and all children with that broad brush because he just wasn't gonna let that love in to be vulnerable. I mean, it sounds kind of like, you know, how we could get burned by religion, so we look at God with that broad brush and just blame all of our problems on him, and it's really not. Fascinating the ways you could take this movie. Point is I feel bad for Lotso on the one hand, because I get it. That pain is very real. That rejection was very real, and I can get why he's super bitter. But here's the thing that's incredible. Woody has been through all of his ups and downs through all 3 movies by this point. Woody, I would think, definitely has reason to be bitter. Now here's Lotso Bear as they're in the trash stuff. They're heading towards the blades that are spinning and the magnet is pulling up all the metals, but Lotso is stuck. Woody is safe, but he drops down to save his enemy, and then Buzz drops down to help Woody. So these 2 heroes drop down to save their enemy. You know what that shows? That shows we don't have to let that external stuff get inside and make us bitter on the inside. And then Lotso had his chance to hit the emergency stop button and save all of the toys right then and there.
Where's your kid now, Sheriff?
In fact, he had a toy family. Woody even said to him, in the midst of all of that stuff, we're in this together. But dude, that bear couldn't get over it. Over stupid parents. Daisy never quit loving him, but he couldn't accept that, and he refused to accept that. He was so abandoned and so hurt, he just had to hang on to his rights and hang on to his hurt. And you know what that cost him? It almost cost the life of those toys, and it cost him for the rest of his life being tied to the grill of a trash truck. The second thing that really stands out to me in this movie is also just the comedy. I mean, yeah, it tackles the far darker things with Lotso Bears. We dive deeper into the darkness that's in his heart. But man, is this movie also light and hilarious, especially concerning Buzz Lightyear. I love Buzz Lightyear. Like, through all 3 movies, they do something unique with Buzz. And the first movie, he doesn't even realize he's a toy. And the second movie, he gets separated from the gang when he meets, another Buzz Lightyear action figure that doesn't know he's a toy, and now he's got to go dealing with that. Now, this movie I thought was probably the funnest thing they did with him, switching him back to factory settings. And it's not the factory settings things, it's when they're trying to fix him again, and they accidentally turn him into Spanish mode.
Venga conmigo, señorita. Le enseñaré las maravillas de la galaxia y juntos, con nuestro amor, venceremos al mal.
I thought that was flippin' hysterical, but after a while, I hadn't seen this movie in a while, and I knew he'd get switched back before they all almost burn in the fire, and I was like, come on, switch him back! Give me back my normal Buzz Lightyear! At the same time, I am cracking up hysterically. The movie's just hysterical. It's hysterical on so many levels, and so that's another reason it's one of my favorites. But the third and final thing that I saw in this movie that I really loved was just the absolute heart that it had. When Bonnie found Woody in the box marked, for the donation, she goes, my cowboy, and she reached for him. Andy did a just knee-jerk reaction of holding him close. I mean, Woody was his pal, like his childhood friend. This was his childhood toy. Letting Woody go really would be letting go of his childhood. But you could just see that moment because Woody and Andy grew together in this movie, where Andy is learning to be an adult. He's stepping out into his own. He's going to live in a dorm. He's going to be a college kid. So he's entering a brand new phase of his life. And that's always hard. Change is always hard. And here's Woody having to face change along with Andy. And it's hard and it's scary. And Andy's like the kid he's been sworn to, but throughout this movie, it's this awakening to two things. His family, which is the toys that he doesn't want to be separated from. He doesn't want to be separated from his toy family that he's had all of this time. But the other thing is the mission. His mission in existence is for kids, to make kids happy, to give them joy. And Andy is entering adulthood. And so the whole movie is Woody coming to terms with what the soldier said at the beginning. The mission is accomplished. So it's time to move on. And that scene where Bonnie waves Woody's hand goodbye and Andy just gives this look of, that scene kind of gets me because it's that moment of, yeah, this is truly it. Goodbye. And then he gets in the car and says, thank you guys, and drives off. That scene gets me all the time. And this is kind of why I'm struggling with the idea of a fourth Toy Story. I'm not as nervous about the idea of a fourth Toy Story now that I've gone through and rewatched them all and seen how progressively I've liked them better with each movie. So if it keeps going that way, then the fourth one will probably be my favorite movie. And based on what I'm seeing in other people's reviews and stuff, they're loving it. I haven't been watching the reviews, but the headlines and video titles, it's like, oh, okay, so this is going to be a really solid movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next chapter is and where they're taking these characters next, because Toy Story 3 really was a good ending place because it's Woody moving on. It's all of that is original now finally coming to an end and everybody moving on to the next phase. Now Toy Story 4, I'm excited to see what that's going to bring. So again, loved Toy Story 3. So far, it's my favorite in the trilogy. I'm giving it a solid A. What is your favorite in the Toy Story franchise thus far? And are you excited to see Toy Story 4? Let's talk about that in the comments, and hit that subscribe button while you're there and hit the bell by that subscribe button so you're notified when I drop my Toy Story 4 review. I'm super excited to dig into that movie and talk about it, so can't wait to see it. So hit that subscribe button and hit that bell and you'll be notified when that drops, when theological analyses, ranking videos, trailer reactions, and anything else I do here, you'll be notified when it drops. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.